in that topic, topic two. Topic two. So we're just going to spend some few minutes. I'll be rushing somewhere. So maybe just within 1 hour, we'll be done with the part of the introduction of this topic two. So we are aware that audit in Nakwanga regulated. Audit in Nakwanga regulated. At the point of our introduction, we mentioned that one that audit is regulated in two areas. Two are the legal environment, and after number two, the professional environment regulation, professional environment regulation. So the legal environment, the things there that auditor should be able to comply with. The Act governs how audit should be conducted. For example, in terms of the appointment of procedures of the auditor, how are auditors appointed into the office? What about the qualifications and disqualifications of the auditor? These matters are also covered by the Act. When it comes to maybe the procedures of the removal of the auditor from the office is also covered by the Act. Things to the remuneration of the auditor, duties and the rights of the auditor. Now the second one, to the professional environment, which puts in place a number of the professional guidelines and the principles that auditors should be able to comply with. So this topic number two is all about the legal framework governing the audit. If you're going to focus on maybe the objective, the principles of the audit, the legal framework, then international regulation, then lastly the auditor's professional liability and legal responsibility. And that's a very commonly tested topic, that sorry, the subtopic on professional liability. So before that one, we need to remind ourselves of the various types of audit. It's very important for us to have that knowledge on various types of audits. Types of this one might be missing that handout. So we want all the types and classification of audits, 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 the types and classification of audits. So audits are classified into two main categories, only two main categories of the types of audits. Types of audits. The types of audits. We have two main categories of the types of audits. Or the types of audits, whereby to what we call the external audit, external audit, external audit. We have got external audit. This external audit is further divided into two main types of audit, whereby to what we call the public audit, public audit, which is also known as the statutory audit, the statutory audit, the statutory audit, the public audit, also known as the statutory audit. And therefore, we also have what we call the private defined private audit, which is also known as the non-statutory audit, the non-statutory audit, the non-statutory audit, the non-statutory audit. And here we have what we call the internal audit, internal audit, internal audit. There are two main types of audit: the external audit and the internal audit. So external audit is normally performed by the independent contractor. This is normally performed by the independent contractor. I'm out for the independent auditor. Independent auditor, independent auditor. Independent auditor is one who performs the external audit. Independent auditor is one who performs the external audit. Yeah. So some audit is done by the independent auditor. I love this one here. Internal audit is done by an employee of the firm. An employee of the firm, normally conducted by an employee of the firm. An employee of the firm is one who conducts the internal audit. Then maybe on the focus area, this one normally focuses on the financial statements, focus on financial statements. This audit normally focus on financial statement. The external audit, the focus review the financial statements for the firm. If they've been prepared, for example, identified financial reporting framework, have they been prepared in accordance with identified financial reporting framework? While the internal audit, this one focuses on the activities. This one focuses on the activities, focuses on the activities and procedures of the firm, and procedures of the firm, and procedures of the firm. For internal audit, it focuses on the procedures and activities of the firm, just to check whether they can be conducted in the most efficient, effective way, and to suggest rules for further improvement, So there are also other differences as far as the external audit and the internal audits are concerned, on certain basis of the comparison, basis of comparison of these two important audits. The basis of the comparison of these two audits here. The basis of comparison of these two audits are a basis of comparison, the basis of comparison of these two important audits. The basis of comparison of these two important audits. Like one, we can look at what you call appointment or the appointment. We can look at matters to what we call appointment. So external auditor and appointed by the shareholders. And after internal auditor and appointed by the management. The other one is in terms of what you call reporting. How the two auditors are, they report to. External auditor reports to the shareholders at the annual general meeting, while the internal auditors report to the management. They also have what you call the remuneration. That's how they pay the compensation for the auditors. This is what we have paid an audit fee. We have an unsalary because we have employees. The other one is on the independence aspect. So external auditor must be seen to be independent. While internal auditor is not a must that person be what? Independent. The other one is what you call liability of these two auditors. So the liability of the external auditor also extends to the third party. So liability both to the company and the third parties. Then the liability of the internal auditor is only limited to the company. So the third parties cannot say the auditor out of his act of maybe negligence or omission. The other one is in terms of what we call the status of these two auditors. So this one is an independent contractor, that I mentioned earlier, and then this one is an employee of the firm. In terms of maybe timing of these activities, this one might be done just towards the end of the accounting period. Then this one is done on the continuous basis throughout the year. The other one is what we call the scope of work. So the scope of work determines the responsibilities, the duties of the auditor, and the extent of the procedures to be performed. For the external auditor, the scope of work is determined by what you call the Company Act, and ESAs, the Company Act and the ESA. So the Company Act will spell out the duties of this auditor, the responsibility of the auditor. Then the ESA will now put the guidelines, the procedures to be conducted, to be performed by that auditor, to be performed by that auditor. So there are certain areas of the differences between the external audit and the internal audit. Then under the external audit, you have the public audit and the private audit. So these are mandatory audit, these are voluntary audit, these are voluntary audit, just done at the express interest of the business owner, like the partners, the sole trader, they may request an auditor to perform such kind of an audit. And half of the end product of this one upper is a public utility document. The public can access such kind of a report. But for this one upper, the document is not a public utility and document. Those are some of the areas from those two important audits, the external and the internal audit. So, what the law regulates and asana is our topic number 2 is about the external audit, and this part of what we call the statutory audit, where there should be certain framework that auditors must follow so that they're able to do the correct things as per the practice requirement. Then maybe at a later time we'll be interacting also with the internal audit, get to know what are the functions, what are the responsibility of the internal auditor, how does the two auditors relate when it comes to work. But there's a point whereby the internal auditor can be given some areas of work to be performed, for the external auditor. But the external auditor will rely on those documents or those data or that evidence to make certain what or a conclusion. But for that one, there are factors there that you have to do what to assess. So these are the main types of an audit. So you can look at some areas of classification of audits, some areas of classification of audits. So audit is classified on a number of bases. Audits are classified as per number of bases, or it's classified as per number of bases. So we have the classification of audit, classification of audits, classification of audits, the classification of audits. So we have classification number 1, according to nature of work done, according to nature of work done, according to nature of work done, according to nature of work done. The first category of audits. So this is based on maybe what they call the legality. So we have the legality of the audit, the legality of the audit, and the persons involved. And the persons are involved. And the persons are involved. So this audit is what we call the public audit. It has the public audit, the public audit. We also have the private audit, the private audit. The next level we call the internal audit, internal audit. The next level the external audit. So this one we are going to discuss there. The number 2 category of classification is according to the audit timing. According to the auditor timing. Timing. This is the second category, classification according to the audit timing. So this refers to the period under which these audits are normally conducted, among the durations under which they are conducted within a particular accounting period. So I did the duration when they are performed. When they are performed. So, for example, for what we call the interim audit. We have interim audit, B, the continuous audit, and 3, we have what we call the final stroke completed audit. So these are the 3 main types of audits as per the timing or duration under which they are formed. and which they are performed. Sasa interim audit is normally one done in between the accounting period. It's done on a certain regular time interval. It's normally done on a certain regular time interval in between the accounting period. It's after 3 months, after 6 months, or 9 months. So what's being audited about interim, about the interim financial statements are the ones which are being examined. These are quarterly financial statements or the semi-annual financial statements are the ones which are being audited. Now, PH also applies to the company and by its article of association, said company should be what? Declaring interim what? Dividends or paying interim what? Dividends. For before the declaration is made, this audit needs to be what? To be undertaken. Now, also the company is on a very tight reporting deadlines. It may go forward to call any interim audit. The number 2, we have the continuous audit. Continuous audit means that COMBA is done almost throughout the accounting period. As soon as the transactions are processed at the beginning of the year, then the audit work will begin immediately. Now, this kind of an audit would be ideally for a manufacturing entity, because a manufacturing entity can have so many transactions, voluminous transaction that needs to be audited on a continuous basis. At the same time, it also applies to firms like the banks and also the insurance. Both the nature of the environment with the operating quite very dynamic. Now, their transactions are affected by a lot of risk. Now, those entity employees on a lot of automation. They have a computerized accounting system. Much of the work is done by the computers. This audit will be most ideal. Then you have the final audit. So the final audit is done at the end of the year. So it can be done once you are through the interim or the continuous audit. So when they confirm you can have these 2 audits up, it makes the work of the final audit quite easier. So then after that one, we have the next classification, which is number 3. Number 3 classification, which is according to the auditor approach. According to the auditor approach. According to the auditor approach. So what we call the auditors can take certain approaches as a way of auditing the client's financial statements about the entity. So these are here, took a number of them. These are kind of just a partial audits, with normally partial audits, meant to achieve a specific objective. The partial audits are meant to achieve a specific objective, meant to achieve a specific objective. So this includes, for example, what we call the management audit. The management audit, the management audit, the management audit, the management audit, the management audit. So the management audit is the audit, the way the name says, the management audit is a kind of an audit done to investigate the managers. Managers work on a responsibility of finally to make a decision. They have that responsibility of making a decision. So they can be investigated. How good are they? How effective are they in terms of decision making? Now find areas where action can be taken to better things. Then the next one, being able to call the procedural audit. Procedural audit. We have the procedural audit. For the procedural audit, what we are now examining or what is being audited is the entity procedures. There's clear entity on a procedures of doing things. So those procedures can be audited to find out are the procedures duly followed by the responsible parties. What about the efficiency and effectiveness? Such kind of procedures are done in the most effective, in the most transparent, in the most accountable manner. For example, is about the recruitment or the procurement. Such kind of procedures can be subject to audit. Then still we have what we call the operational audit. Operational audit. So operational audit, this focuses on the entities activities. Sometimes there's a mix between procedural and operational. Easing procedures is what is being audited. While operational audits focus on the activities. So the activities that are being audited, activities are the ones that are being audited. Yes, we call activities, there must be procedure, there must be guidelines on how those particular activities needs to be undertaken. Now, the three essential, the three E's of conducting this kind of an audit, the three E's, which we need to look at for the economy. We need to check on the economy. Is asking yourself about cost and benefit, ask yourself about cost and benefit. Are the activities done in the most beneficial manner, in a manner that we can reduce a cost, in a manner that we can reduce a cost. Next, the efficiency. They need to be efficient. We check about optimal utilization of the available resources. Are we optimally using the available resources in achieving the set objectives? Then next we have what we call effectiveness. Effectiveness is about being able to attain the intended objective. Now, this kind of an audit period you can come up with value for money audit. Value for money audit. Value for money audit. Value for money audit. Which is also known as value for money audit. Value for money audit. Then next, so we have what we call after that we have D, which is compliance audit. Compliance audit. So every firm is guided by a number of laws and regulations, which needs to be followed. It needs to be followed. So this kind of an audit can be conducted to check whether the entity does comply with the necessary laws and regulation put in place. Like something like environmental laws, those are environment and also we're checking that the entity complies with that kind of regulations. Then the last one, under according to the audit approaches, we have the last one, which is the balance sheet approach. The balance sheet approach. The balance sheet approach. The balance sheet approach, kind of an audit. The balance sheet approach. So under the balance sheet audit, this one is a kind of an approach where the auditor will check the balance sheet, then audit those items, either balances balance, is assets, equity, and liability, going backward to the source document. So when on the balance sheet, we can back to the source document. Like for the balance sheet, we go to the income statement. Like come to pick something like a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle balances for the balance sheet. Then you go to the income statement. Maybe the expenses in relation to this particular vehicle. If you entered correctly, are they complete in all aspects? Was the accounting standard followed? From the income statement, you go to the trial balances. Then to talk about trial balances, we go to the individual ledgers. Then from the ledgers, we can go to maybe the source documents formerly, the journals in relation to that particular transaction. To go back to the source document or the balance sheet approach. So then the next one, we go to number 4, classification of the audits. Number 4, classification of the audits. Number 4, classification of the audits. Next one, classification according to audit strategy. 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 So there is a strategy that can be adopted also by the auditor as a means of auditing the client financial statements. So here we have this kind of audit. One, we have what we call the watching audit, watching audit strategy, the watching audit strategy, the watching audit strategy. Number 2, we have what we call the substantive audit strategy, substantive audit strategy, the substantive audit strategy. The next number 3, we have what we call the risk-based audit strategy. So what forms a decision of the auditor to use this particular strategy is what we call the nature of the ICS, the nature of the ITs. The nature of the internal control system will influence which type of a strategy to be adopted by the auditor, either the vouching or the substantive audit. Then you have the risk-based audit where first the risk element. The risk element that aim to reduce the risk to a certain reasonable, acceptable level. A certain reasonable, acceptable level. Then next we have number five. So number 5, we have what you call sorry, but before that one, though we shall be discussing this one later, another topic up. Took on a topic up about the management practice of the audit. We shall come and look at the risk. Risk is an area that's widely tested. You can't do an audit paper without being tested by the examiner on matters to do with the risk. So, e-vouching in apply come the system when the IC is weak, auditor go for the vouching approach. So the audit vouching strategy. When the system is strong, auditor will go for what call the substantive strategy, the substantive auditor strategy. So here, equal relationship now maybe materiality. Therefore, easier probability equal impact on the auditor materiality and the level of the risk, the audit materiality and the level of the risk. From a system weak, there's a high chances that the financial statements will be materially misstated. So the auditor will have to do a lot of work. Increase the substantive procedures. You have to increase the substantive procedures. Increase the substantive procedures. Increase the substantive procedures. Increase the substantive procedures. So you make the sample size to be bigger. You make a sample size to be bigger. Then on this one, because the system is very strong, we just limit the substantive procedures. Limited substantive procedures. Or we're going to take limited substantive procedures. We'll limit the substantive procedures. On this one, auditor not place reliance on the system. Because system is weak, auditor not place reliance on the system as the basis of auditing. While this one if the system is not strong, the auditor is going to place its reliance on the system as a means of auditing. So risk management of financial statements are very risky. You just want to concentrate on the risky items. Identify areas that you feel there is a high chances the financial statements will be materially misstated due to errors and foul. So you focus on that one. Then you a bit cheaper, a bit cheaper, and most of the clients will prefer auditor finding to make the risk-based audit approach. Because we concentrate on the most critical items. That's where we apply the procedures are required. So then we go to number 5 is classification according to the organization structure. Classification according to the organization structures. Classification according to the organization structures. So entities got a different structures they do normally adopt, depending on the nature of the activities, the environment where they are operating, will have got an influence on the kind of organizational structure to be adopted, or maybe the distribution of is a component. So here we have some kind of an audit like to what we call the joint audit. Joint audit, you have the joint audit. So in joint audit is a situation whereby you have got more than one audit firm coming together, or maybe 2 audit firms coming together to do a common auditor assignment, and at the end of it, they give one report, one auditor report. Inaweza kufanyika maybe kama tuko na a foreign firm, tuko na foreign audit firm, na maybe kuna client yake hapa locally. Most of these multinational companies, para kwamba the audit firm go overseas, but they want somebody also who is locally here to assist them in the auditing function. So what do? They go for what you call the joint audit. Then later, they give out one particular report. The number we have what we call the group audit, the group audit. So the group audit will apply for whereby to consolidated accounts. Your holding company, ambayo they prepare the consolidated group accounts. Whenever it has been audited, the second one auditing of the group audits. Then C to a branch audit. So branch audit, the branch audit, and you're auditing the books of the branch, auditing the books of the branch. Then the next classification of the audit, the next classification of the audit, you can what call the classification according to the societal need. That should be number 6. Classification according to the societal needs. 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 So these are meant for CSR obligations. CSR obligations. These are meant for the CSR obligation or the social needs. The social needs, mostly for the society or the members. These audits include what we call social audit. The social audit. Like if you are auditing the social programs, the social projects, that kind of an audit is a social audit. The number 2, what we call the environmental audit. Environmental audit. So this way you audit the environment. This way you audit the environmental matters. And now C, what we call the forensic audit. Forensic audit is where the certain disputes, the certain fraud, and the quantification of financial loss will be required. So we may conduct that audit. So easier, we shall be interacting with them on a topic easier. We want to topic 3 of forensic accounting. We want to topic forensic accounting number, we shall be covering that one later. Then topic here is here, the social audit and the environmental audit. And topic what we call the audit for the related services. Audit for the related services, we shall be covering the social audit, environmental audit. We shall be covering that. Yes, easy peer, tutakuja kuzikava baadaye tena, a very important one. For a topic like this, the watching, the substantive, and the derivative. We also have the part of this audit supper. Exam requires you to know what's a joint audit, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of a joint audit. Could also be group audit. You should be able to understand how we audit the group companies. For such an information sample that is very important for you to be able to know. About the knowledge is very important for you to know, like the change of the auditor sample. What are the factors we need to consider whenever there's a change of the auditor? Napata kama tuko na subsidiary company, tuko the holding company. Then maybe one of the auditor or subsidiary has left, and you happen to be appointed to take over that particular assignment. So what are the factors that you're going to consider? For example, when it comes to drafting the engagement letter, and that may be the procedures applied when it comes to auditing the financial statements whereby people in the group entity. We also have the branch audits. We shall be covering this one later during the course of our coverage. So those are areas that we shall be covering as far as the various types and the classification of the audits is concerned. So our next part is to continue with that handout now, to get the various things which are those required. But before really for you, requirements are low. So before we let's just discuss this legal environment. The legal environment. Legal environment. Let's just discuss this legal environment. Legal environment. So for legal environments, so some the things that we need to know, like one of our appointment of the appointment of the auditors, appointment of the auditors. So auditors are appointed by who? The person, the shareholders. The shareholders auditors are auditing the first people named the shareholders. Shareholders wako na the primary obligation of appointing an auditor. Na kuna how they exercise that power. Kuna how they exercise that power. Like during the first AGM of the company.